Have you ever clipped your fingernails and stopped to wonder, who was the very first person to do this? It sounds like a strange question, but think about it. Nail clippers are a modern invention. Scissors came much later. Even metal tools didn't exist for most of human history. So before all of that, when did humans actually start cutting their nails? The answer takes us back tens of thousands of years, long before cities, farming, writing, or even the wheel. Early humans already had fingernails just like we do today. Unlike the sharp claws of wolves, bears, or big cats, human nails are flat. Scientists believe our ancient ancestors evolved flat nails because they were much better for gripping branches, picking up tiny objects, making tools, and handling food with precision. In other words, our nails became tools instead of weapons. Just like today, fingernails never stop growing. On average, they grow about 3 millimeters every month. If a person never shortened them, they would eventually become long, curved, and much easier to crack or tear. Imagine trying to throw a spear, climb a rocky cliff, start a fire, or skin an animal while carrying fingernails several inches long. Life would become frustrating very quickly. But here's the surprising part. The first humans may not have needed to cut their nails at all. Their entire lifestyle naturally kept their nails short. Every day they climbed trees, dug for roots, carried heavy rocks, built shelters, scraped animal hides, gathered firewood, sharpened spears, and hunted across rough landscapes. Every one of those activities slowly wore away the tips of their nails, almost like rubbing them against a giant natural nail file all day long. Think about rock climbers today. Mechanics, farmers, carpenters, and construction workers often notice their fingernails becoming shorter simply from constant use. Early humans lived that kind of life every single day. Their hands rarely rested. Their nails were constantly grinding against stone, wood, dirt, and animal hides. That doesn't mean every nail stayed perfectly smooth. Sometimes a fingernail cracked, sometimes it split, sometimes part of it peeled away after hitting a rock or getting caught while climbing. And when that happened, prehistoric people probably did something many of us still do today. They peeled away the loose piece with their fingers. Yes, humans have probably been picking at broken fingernails for tens of thousands of years. As stone tool technology improved, humans gained another option. Sharp flakes of flint and obsidian were incredibly sharp, some even sharper than modern surgical steel under the right conditions. Archaeologists have found thousands of these razor-like flakes at prehistoric campsites. While no one can prove they were made specifically for trimming nails, they certainly could have been used to scrape or shorten damaged fingernails whenever necessary. Some people probably use their teeth too. It might sound funny, but nail biting is one of the oldest habits humans still have today. Many scientists believe it may go back far into prehistory. Imagine sitting around a campfire after dinner, noticing a cracked fingernail and simply biting off the loose edge. No nail clipper needed. Children probably thought even less about their nails. They spent their days climbing trees, digging in the dirt, throwing sticks, chasing animals, and exploring the wilderness. All that activity naturally wore their nails down before they had much chance to become very long. Of course, kids have always found creative ways to hurt themselves. Somewhere in prehistory, one child probably cried over a broken fingernail, while the adults worried about the mammoth standing 50 meters away. Eventually, human life began to change. Around 12,000 years ago, people in different parts of the world slowly started farming instead of constantly hunting and gathering. As daily life became less physically demanding for some communities, natural wear on fingernails probably became less effective. People still worked hard, but not everyone spent every day climbing rocks or scraping hides. Thousands of years later came one of humanity's biggest inventions, metal tools. Copper, bronze, and eventually iron allowed people to make stronger knives and blades. Historians believe these tools were sometimes used for personal grooming, including trimming nails. Ancient Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, Chinese civilizations, and many others valued clean hands and personal appearance. Wealthy people sometimes even owned small grooming kits containing tiny blades, tweezers, ear picks, and early nail cleaning tools. The nail clipper most people recognize today is surprisingly new. Spring-loaded nail clippers were only developed within the last couple of centuries. Before that, people often used small knives, scissors, or simple cutting tools. In other words, for almost all of human history, nobody had the little metal clipper sitting in your bathroom drawer today. Archaeologists can't study prehistoric fingernails very often because soft tissues almost never survive for tens of thousands of years. Instead, scientists combine evidence from preserved ancient bodies, stone tools, human biology, and modern hunter-gatherer societies to understand how our ancestors probably cared for themselves. Even today, some people who spend much of their lives working outdoors notice their nails wearing down naturally without much trimming. It turns out that your daily lifestyle affects your nails far more than most people realize. So when did humans start cutting their nails. We may never know the exact moment. There wasn't one inventor who proudly held up the world's first trimmed fingernail. Instead, it was probably a gradual process. Early humans relied mostly on natural wear. Later, they peeled broken nails, scraped them with sharp stones, bit them with their teeth, and eventually used metal blades before modern nail clippers were finally invented. The next time you clip your nails, remember that you're finishing a routine that has been evolving for tens of thousands of years. Your ancestors didn't have stainless steel clippers, bright bathroom lights, or tiny trash cans for nail clippings. They had rocks, sharp stone flakes, their own teeth, and a world where surviving another day mattered much more than having perfect nails. And if the very first human ever decided it was finally time to shorten a fingernail, there's a good chance they immediately went back to chasing dinner before they even finished the other hand.